What's up, guys? Let me know when you have some audio. I'm just letting this video run right now so I can test the audio real quick. If any of you guys that are just joining in are able to let me know if the audio sounds okay. I appreciate that. My voice is probably going to be a little low. I'm in a kind of enclosed room, so I don't want to speak too loud and let my voice reverb off the walls. Appreciate you joining in, man. This is going to be a stream that's kind of like dual purpose. Do a little bit of a preview of the Ravens Cardinals game, and then also talk about the Demarcus Robinson signing, show a little bit of film, which I'm letting run here. The streaming software likes to pick up the video immediately. It doesn't like stationary pictures for whatever reason. So let the video run. I will annotate it and talk about the plays here soon. I'll be showing some film of Demarcus Robinson, primarily him against the Steelers in the playoffs last year. And then film of Tyler Huntley and Trace McSorley to a lesser extent. C Iron, what's up, man? Thank you for always joining in, man. Appreciate your energy. Only have about an hour for this stream. I will be trying to stream on Saturday mornings during the regular season if you guys are interested. I think I spoke about that a little bit last week. I appreciate that, Stu Money. Sounds like a compliment, I guess, right? Appreciate it. So this will be, as I said a couple of moments ago, once this video, Yolanda, good morning. Appreciate you joining in. Thank you. I'm going to show some Demarcus Robinson film first. It's actually kind of surprising to me. Just a little commentary first. I did a little bit different film study for Demarcus Robinson rather than look at like 6 or 8 games because I didn't have that kind of time. I was out of town for 3 days this week, so wasn't able to produce content. What I did for the Demarcus Robinson piece of this was I just watched one game. I watched one game and watched every snap that he was in on, and that was time consuming too. Don't get me wrong, but I will tell you, there's a lot of times where he's available for the football. And, if you're Patrick Mahomes and you're the offensive coordinators, the offensive staff for the Chiefs, you're going to build that offense for Tyreek Hill and Travis Kelce, obviously. I mean, I would do the same thing, right? I'm just saying, Bula Matare, thank you. I probably mispronounced your name, so forgive me. I don't know, Jay. I don't care. I don't care about that. Unless Steve Young wants to show film, I don't pay attention to it for real. That's just me. If someone's not showing film and they're trying to hold my attention for longer than a minute, they don't get my attention for real. That's just me. And I show film, but I certainly make mistakes sometimes, and you guys point them out, which makes me better. But I don't pay attention, me personally, to people who don't show film and just make blanket statements. And I think Steve Young's one of them. So, and maybe RG3 is too. I don't know, but I don't watch those shows. I don't watch sports TV at all. So people tagged me on Twitter, and I hope I wasn't rude in my reply, but I just said, I don't watch these shows. I find them to be my comparison would be like a daytime soap opera for real, for those sports TV shows. So I'm going to start this. The title of this is obviously Ravens Cardinals preview. I'm actually going to, start with Demarcus Robinson film, and I only watched film. I shouldn't say I only watched. I'm only using film from him against the Steelers, which I believe was last year. Big Ben's last game, I think, right? He's going to be spot shadowed on all of these. And there's some times, like this is man coverage here, there's some times where he's not open, he's not available for the football. The corner's obviously beating him, on this in route. Patrick Mahomes is targeting, I think, Travis Kelce over the middle, and it's incomplete. It's good defense. But you're going to see in this film, there's times where he's available for the football and just not targeted, just not part of the read at all. Now, I think Steve Young needs to hush. So I've never seen Steve Young show any film. Have you? Have you seen Steve Young break down film at all and show you what the route concepts are wrong? Watch my channel, man. Ravens run the same plays as other people. You can believe it or not. This concept right here, the Ravens run. This next one here. Ravens run the same concept. Anyway, he's on the back side of this, and I think he's going to run like a little sideline route. I don't have a lot of the screen to draw on there. He's available for the football. He's just not targeted. I think 6'1", 6'2". Were this ball to be thrown, to the sideline, he's available. But if you're, if you're Patrick Mahomes, you're going to be looking for Tyreek Hill, and you're going to be looking for Travis Kelce in these third down situations. I would too. We all would, right? So there's nothing wrong that he doesn't have a lot of targets. That's not Tyreek Hill. That's Byron Pringle. He's going to be spot shadowed in all these, like I said. And there's times where he's, again, open and available for the football. He's beat his man on this little in cut across the formation. But TJ Watt is over here doing TJ Watt things. I'll let it run and then pull it back so you guys can see it. Patrick Mahomes is targeting Robinson. Robinson's not, against anyone, he's not going to draw the top corner, this number 2 corner. For the Ravens, what's his projection? I don't know, but I'm glad we got him, especially since Prochet and Wallace are dealing with some type of injuries right now. I suspect that Prochet will be available before Wallace, but I'm glad we have the opportunity to get a veteran, someone who it looks to me like can get open against man coverage and is smart against zone coverage. I mean, that's a ridiculous play by TJ Watt. But as you can see, Demarcus Robinson is open. Yeah, Hadley, I just those conversations, for real, they mean nothing to me. They don't interest me at all. Not from you guys, the questions, but just those TV segments, they're boring to me. There's no film presented, so it's just conjecture, if you ask me. This one's interesting. If you haven't tracked it, this is Demarcus Robinson down over here. And Patrick Mahomes is going to scramble. He does Patrick Mahomes things. And he's looking downfield. You can't see it because of the resolution. You'll see it from the end zone angle. He's looking downfield here. He's looking for a big play. And, Demarcus Robinson's sitting here wide open for a long time. I'm slowing this film down, but you can see he's wide to F open. That ball should be thrown to him. I think there was times where Demarcus Robinson could have made more plays for the Chiefs, but, not being a big part of the offense, they got Kelce, they got Tyreek Hill. They got Mecole Hardman, other guys. But you'll see from this angle, the linebacker presses. And look at Mahomes' helmet as this develops. He just doesn't see Demarcus Robinson. Now, I should maybe that's incorrectly stated. He may see him. He just may be looking for the big play. Because at this point, he's deciding to throw the ball to Demarcus Robinson. And thank God he gets batted down. Because if not, it's going to get picked. Maybe Mahomes, in some cases, was trying for the big play like this one. But look, it's an unsettled situation. He's extending the play. I don't really blame quarterbacks for where they're looking in those situations. It's such a dynamic moment, when they're extending the play. So I find it hard to really evaluate quarterbacks in those situations, although, they practice it in all the time. All right, he's a spot shadowed up at the top of the screen. And this is the very next play. After that play where Patrick Mahomes extended the play and was, chose not to go to Demarcus Robinson. The very next play, 3rd and 11. Like I said, he's up here spot shadowed at the top of the screen. He gets himself open. In this little buzz coverage, the Steelers play. It's really unique how they do this. They do this against the Ravens as well. Mahomes finds Robinson. Cool. I mean, he's a big guy. He doesn't look 6'3" to me. Wait, excuse me. They don't have him listed at 6'3", but he looks 6'3". He looks like a big guy. Would you say, Sib Patel, you're working on the same thing for Demarcus Robinson? I can't drink coffee for a few days. I got a tooth pulled Wednesday, man, so I'm still in a little bit of pain. I can't wait to get some coffee in me, man. Yeah, I know they list him at 6'1". He looks a little bigger to me. I'm glad they got him. Jay Shands, that's a good point earlier that you said. Steve Young probably takes it personally for what he had to go through in Tampa. Not just Tampa, but the whole reputation that he had. I just wish he was more professional in his approach and had some film to back it up. To me, that's just those guys can just show up in the studio and they can just say whatever the F they want and they get away with it because their name is Steve Young. Show me some film. Every single Ravens content creator could show you bad route combinations by the Ravens. And they could also show you the Ravens running the same concepts as other people, over routes, flood routes, mesh concepts, triangle reads. We could show you all those things. The Ravens run the same exact damn concepts as other teams do. The play calling and the situational awareness is where I think we have a weakness, not in the actual play design. So that's just a wrong focus. And again, I just think it's surface level analysis. It's boring. Again, Robinson, has some space here over the middle. Is he going to get 50 targets for the Ravens? Probably not. Probably not. But if the way the 17 game and look, the game has changed, man. A 17 game season is brutal. And if they ever do something really stupid and go to an 18 game season, I mean, you're going to see certain players become, I don't want to say part-time guys, but you're going to see certain guys become, people that by design only play 14, 15 games. He's probably going to run a lot of routes like this for the Ravens. Let's be honest. He's probably going to run a lot of, now this isn't really a clear out route, but he's probably going to run a lot of routes, vertical, post, whatever, that allows someone else to work into this space. Classic, over route by Andrews. That's not exactly what Kelsey runs here, but this is probably what we're going to see a lot from Demarcus Robinson if and when he does get on the field for us. Don't think he's playing Sunday though, right? Oh, absolutely, Jay. Yeah, I want to see the young guys work. Sounds like they're working. I mean, how can you not be excited about Shamar Bridges and to a lesser extent Mekhi Polk? I know Coach is in here, or if he's still in here, we both Mekhi Polk like stands. I don't even know what stands means. I just used a word. I don't even know what it means. But a deeper route, with kind of a little bit of an unsettled situation here by Robinson. It's not really Mahomes extending the play. It's just working a little bit outside the route concept. You can see Robinson's looking back here. So he's looking back to just, that's not part of the route necessarily. He's looking back to try to figure out where to break this off at. And he sees Mahomes break it off. I think Robinson is going to be, here's the thing that I like. I think he's going to be very, very good when Lamar extends the play. He looks like someone who understands where to be when the quarterback gets outside the pocket, and that's important. Not that our other guys don't. First of all, I don't know what Coach thinks because he's in here too, but Rashad Bateman and James Prochet are excellent when Lamar breaks the pocket. When Lamar breaks contain, those two guys are fantastic. You didn't see it with Prochet for like 5 or 6 weeks in a row because he wasn't on the field. But when he was on the field against the Lions, against the Broncos, I think even one play against the Colts when he wasn't targeted, when Lamar breaks contain, Prochet can find the open spot. And I think Demarcus Robinson has that trait as well. I showed you this play earlier. Now, the ball security here, yeah, the ball security is going to be something that John Harbaugh is probably going to talk to him about. But, I think to a certain extent that's a little over-exaggerated. Simple concept. Like Jay pointed out earlier, he's only 6'1", but to me there's a little bit of an element. He looks like he plays a little bigger to me. Snag concept, one of my favorite concepts. I love this when you got the running back out into the flats. You got the snag, and then the number one. I mean, this is unique stuff. Now, the Ravens don't run snag this way. This is like snag at the professor level. Ravens run snag at the 100 level, if you ask me. A super fan? Okay, thank you. Someone's explaining it to me now. So last play of Demarcus Robinson, like I said, to summarize, I think he's a big body. I think he'll be used on a lot of clear out routes if and when he does get on the field. It looks like he can make plays. Of course, we know he made plays against the Ravens multiple times. It wouldn't surprise me for him to be on the field a little more than we think, especially if guys like Wallace, if Wallace is out for a while, or God forbid, like on the injured reserve for the first 6 weeks. I think it's a 6-week is the short term, right? Then he's definitely got a shot to be on the field a whole lot more than we would have thought. Let me know what you guys think on that thought. All right, I had to switch the video over. Yeah, with the run, well, they were running the same concept to the top side of the field, Sip Tally. They were running. It was just a mirrored, but obviously the running back could only go to one side. Mark, that's not the only time I've seen him do that. In terms of waving the ball around, I think I've seen him do that 3 times. So, I mean, yeah, that'll be a conversation, maybe. All right, so yeah, I love snag, man. I like how the Chiefs will run that snag, but then they'll run different routes, with the number two receiver off of it. And sometimes I wish I could run that play back, and because that's one of my complaints about people saying the Ravens receivers run into each other and shit like that. Like sometimes when you run the way the Chiefs just ran that, somewhat similar to what I have drawn on the screen, them two receivers are going to be close to each other at some point. But if it's a zone concept, nobody's redirecting. Which, let's be honest, in the NFL, nobody puts hands on anybody anyway. At this point, it's okay for two people to be near each other when at a certain point in time, as long as the quarterback isn't reading them in that moment. So to me, it's an exaggeration that a lot of people make when that's their main complaint about our passing game. Yolanda, good point. I'm happy to have a vet in the wide receiver room. Totally. Totally. Huh. Okay, Mark. Yeah, I'm tracking that. Certain guys are like that. All right, this is going to be all Tyler Huntley stuff. I think the first four plays is under center. And I don't know about you, but like this looks clean. I'd be interested to see Lamar on these. Not that I don't think he can do it, but if to me, and those of you that are coaches that are in here, you can feel free to comment on it as well. If we're practicing three-step drop, not that it's a difficult thing to do for an athlete, but there is a technical aspect to it. If we're practicing three-step drop, I think there's other things that we're not practicing as much. We think as fans probably that there's so much time for them to practice. It's not. By the time they get out on the field, especially if it's 90, 95 plus like it is right now, you don't want to be out there for real long. I'm interested to see if Lamar is running some of this three-step drop stuff, under center, that is. As you know, if you watched any of my videos, I'd love to see us get away from the pistol. I think the pistol is what limits our offense more than Greg Roman, to be honest with you. And those two things are linked because he's a pistol guy, or he's become a pistol guy. I think the pistol really limits people. At least I know when we faced it defensively, we felt like it was very limited. Only going to have one reception from Jalen Moore in here, but I thought he looked good the other day. He's a guy that doesn't get talked about a lot, and I understand it. All right, play action concept. Mason's going to be running out in the flats. Not a great play action fake from us, but again, I want to see if Lamar is doing these things under center consistently in practice. It's a tough thing. It's 3rd and 2. So this D-end right here, outside linebacker, D-end, whatever, he's left unblocked initially, and he thinks maybe he's going to get a power kick-out block by the fullback, like the letter J kind of, and he doesn't. You can't let the fullback cross your face, which is tough because he's taught to step down, so now he's out-leveraged. Inside linebacker is more athletic than Ben Mason, so he's able to track it down, but cool concept. I hope we run it more in the regular season, that is. Yeah, Jay, that's my point though. Is the people that we see on TV? They don't make those complaints. They don't make those I shouldn't say nuanced. They don't make those detailed complaints. They just have blanket statements that again aren't interesting to me. Young Hook, what's up, man? Toast, what's up? Yeah, Jay, I thought that Robinson was a good blocker as well. I'll be honest with you, I didn't see examples of it really I watched 3 games, but I only used film from that Steelers game. I didn't really see a lot of examples of it. I'm not doubting that he is a good blocker. I just didn't see examples of it. But last under center play, this one should have us all excited. This is obviously going to be the one that's, likely. And well, first of all, let's watch it and then I'll pull it back. I mean, yeah, we all love like that we have a tight end who can make people miss like that. Mark Andrews has made people miss before, but not in this short of space. I feel like he's a little bit unique in this, but we're actually creating the space that likely needs. As an offensive coordinator or somebody designing plays, you can't just draw stuff up and expect it to work. We're getting everyone moving in this direction. All of our players are moving in that direction. The defense has to respond. Watch these inside linebackers move. Now, this safety is a different thing because it looks like he's locked up man on likely, okay? But as we get this stretch movement going, you can see the linebackers are being pulled. They're being pulled. Now, why is the safety going this way? Because he's manned up on Oliver. So he's going to match Oliver's movement. This safety, unfortunately, just gets out-leveraged a little bit and gets juked twice. But what I'm saying is we've created the space. We created this space by all the movement up here, and we created that under center. And I've said this multiple times, and maybe I don't do a great job explaining it. I feel like if we do the same thing and the quarterback's feet are here in the pistol, and we just have a tailback, and we get the same movement, I just don't feel like we get the same length of time that these guys are moving in the wrong direction. I feel like the pistol does not lend itself to the play action fake as well. I just have always felt like that, even before attempting to be a content creator. As a coach, I never felt like that. We always felt like the play action fakes out of the pistol were no good because there's just not as much time where the defense is in conflict. We can react quicker. That was just our thought. And I know I've covered that a bunch of times in different videos. So if you guys have different opinions on that, let me know. Yeah, T-Dog likely definitely has to improve as a blocker. There was no question about that. He was look, he wasn't just below average. He was poor in that first game. You have to say it, call it what it is. Yeah, likely definitely has moves. Young Hoop, I think Bridges has to be up there pretty high on that depth chart you have because I mean the plays he's made, other guys haven't made. Now Prochet did have that one touchdown against Washington, up the far sideline in preseason, but nothing like that. Nothing like the 2 jump balls that Bridges had, and even the slant and then the sluggo that a lot of people have pointed out. Bridges is available to catch the football in ways that other guys aren't. He's just unique. He's just unique. Oh, Mark, I didn't see that. I'll have to check that out with Daniel Wilcox. That's awesome. I think we're going to use the tight ends more, for real. I think we'll be in 12 personnel a lot. This is 12 personnel right now. So you got 1 running back, you got 2 tight ends, and 2 receivers. I think our roster fits 12 personnel more than it does 13 personnel, to be honest with you. I mean, what else can you say about A, likely, and then B, Huntley having the balls to throw this thing here. It's a great job, honestly, by these 2 inside linebackers getting themselves back in position. I talked about this in another video I did, but I always try to point out inside linebacker play. They're going to get the wrong read because they're getting run flow. They're coming downhill. You can see both of them. Both of them, their feet are on the 24, and then they're gonna turn their back and then run. So basically, they're going to turn their back to the quarterback and try to run underneath of the routes that are developing. That's great technique. So it just shows you that some well executed offense, in my opinion, should defeat a great defense in a lot of instances. Great defense by him. I don't like one of the things the DBs did on that play, but I don't want to belabor it. I don't have as many plays from Victor in here, but I think he looks improved. You guys let me know what you think. I know he's not looked at as someone who's going to be on the roster yet, but I think he's improved. I did not see this level of stopping ability for him last year. And then the smoothness to catch the ball and turn back to the sideline, make sure he gets the first down. He didn't look this smooth last year catching the ball. I didn't see him catching the ball like this cleanly last year while in the middle of a body movement. He looks stronger to me. He looks stronger and he looks more athletic. That shouldn't be possible, right? Josh Hoffman, what's up, man? Yeah, I just think Steve Young's comments just were like surface level. It was like a introductory math class to me. It was just boring. Definitely want to see Boyle, man, and see how Boyle fits in. In my opinion, I'd like to see Boyle kind of replace Ricard as the season goes on. I'm not an anti-Ricard guy by any means. He's a good football player. He's had a good career, but in my opinion, we're a little limited when he's on the field because he's a fullback first, and then he's a tight end, but he's not really a tight end. We use him as a tight end, but we use him as a tight end when our other guys were hurt. We didn't have many options. This is Victor running a vertical. No, I love this route. I don't know about you guys. Watch it again. He did not have this, to my knowledge, last year. He really broke that corner's posture and made himself available for the ball. I mean, yeah, Rod Woodson kind of identified it. Like, do you have to lay out? Should you run under it? Man, I don't know. That's up to the athlete that's there. To me, it looks like he could very easily have caught this football with leaping. Maybe if he runs under it, maybe does he catch the football? I don't know. I just know it's a much better route than he had ran. I think you see the impact of Keith Williams. To be honest with you, I really think our receivers, our young guys who are very underrated, are showing the benefits of working with Keith Williams, if you ask me. And I think this guy's another example of that. I don't know that he had some of this ability. The ability was there, the athletic ability, but he does. This looks like an absolute mismatch. Like this looks like the type of matchup he wins 98 times out of 100. And it sounds like he does in practice as well. Just a physical mismatch. He's giving the DB no chance. And it's not like he's not interfering at all. He's just framing the guy up with his hand a little bit. There's nothing that could be called interference. That DB has absolutely no chance. I mean, yeah, is that guy a starter? Is he a second string? Probably neither one of those things. But Bridges is making plays against NFL talent. I think our coach is doing a nice job so far, for real. I'm not tracking the chat. Let me catch up on it. Yeah, Mark, I agree. That's a good statement. Yeah, Josh. I mean, yeah. The point is, in this day and age, a lot of teams are using tight ends as fullbacks, and I have said this multiple times in videos. The NFL is like 10 years behind. So let me give you an example. Two Division III teams that I'm quite familiar with. They're 11 personnel teams. So they are one running back, one tight end. But that tight end plays receiver one play, like the X receiver. So one play, that tight end be down here as the X. The very next play, that tight end will be like here, where the typical tight end is in a trips alignment. And then the third player, these are examples, he'll be in the backfield as a fullback. Tight ends have been used as fullbacks in high school and college for over a decade. That spread tight end is a fullback. That's why a lot of people call him an H-back. Gus Malzahn and a lot of other college coaches have utilized tight ends as fullbacks for years, conceptually. And the NFL is kind of just catching up to that. Certain teams do it already. Actually, the Ravens, are one of the teams that does it. I just think that we'd be better served with a Boyle being used as a tight end fullback hybrid as opposed to Ricard. I think Boyle gives us more in the passing game. This isn't a bad ball at all. But, were Bridges not to have such a physical advantage, you would say, all right, well, this is just a 50-50 ball. But with Bridges, at least against the guys he's going against now, this is not a 50-50 ball. This is like I don't know, what do you guys think it is? I think it's like an 80-20 ball. He's just, it almost looks like it's too easy for him going against this level of player. I said this in a reaction video last week. I want to see him against our starters. Now, I did have a couple people message me on Twitter and say, hey, Coach, maybe Bridges didn't do that well this week against our starters, and that's why we signed Demarcus Robinson. I first of all, I think that's an interesting observation, but I don't think it's true. I think we signed Demarcus Robinson because Prochet and Wallace are unable to practice right now. So we're thin at receiver. The same as, at a certain point in time, we were thin at outside linebacker because of injuries. So we signed Vince Beagle. We brought in Stephen Means, among other guys. I also said this in another video, so forgive me if this is repeated content for some of you guys. But what's going to happen with Bridges once he's able to beat tight man coverage is this is the coverage he's going to get. Now if you were to have a guy of Bridges' athleticism who was like a Calvin Johnson type, then he's going to get this coverage with a safety over the top. But at this point in time, I expect against Arizona, I expect him to get this coverage right here. So look for that during the game. And I could be wrong. He could get tight man coverage, but I do not suspect that. I suspect they're going to give him off coverage to allow the corner to not get pressed inside, when Bridges takes outside release. So when Bridges takes outside release with his little stutter release and the corner is in his face, Bridges is able to threaten the slant. So he's able to get that corner seated just for a moment and take him to the sideline. I do not think he's going to see this coverage tomorrow. I think he's going to see I think this is the coverage he's going to see tomorrow. I don't think he's going to see press man. And so these routes are going to be available consistently if we want them. Offensive weapon. I can't even say his name anymore. Since he left the Ravens, I can't even say his name. Juszczyk, right? Juszczyk. So this is another example. Look, we're down here in the end zone, and look at the off coverage that Bridges has. Now, granted, everyone has off coverage, okay? But the routes that are going to be available to a guy like Bridges, stuff like this, I mean, look, we're open. We're open and available to catch the football somewhere in this area, hopefully absorb or evade the contact by the inside linebacker and get our way into the end zone. Ball gets batted down by the defensive tackle. But I love what we saw in the first preseason game offensively, the run-pass ratio. I love that we saw under center and shotgun. I forget what my tracking was, but for the first half, I had 14 plays under center and I think 16 plays in the shotgun and 1 pistol play. I don't know about you guys, but I would be happy if that's what we did all season. Moving away from the pistol, if you ask me, just gives us more options and makes us less predictable. Yeah, Kohler is going to be an interesting guy to have around. I think it pushes. A lot of people said, "Hey, it probably pushes Boyle out." I mean, maybe. I think it might push Ricard out. I hate to continually say that, that Ricard's going to be the odd man out. But there, at some point, if we've got 6'4", we got 6'4", 6'5" here. We got 6'4" here. At some point, like the guy who's 6'2", 245, 250, whatever he is, but doesn't have the elevation potential as these guys, he's got to be squeezed out. I mean, that's just a fact. You don't have too many 6'4" power forwards in the NFL, and that's the comparison I make for Ricard. I don't know if Coach is still in here. I tried to make a point about this in a video earlier this week, how the top of the numbers is a landmark for a lot of air raid and spread teams. Just so you know, my background, like the high school I went to was a run and shoot team in the 90s. So like we were 3 and 4 wide, throwing the ball 40 times a game. And then for a couple of years as coaches, we were spread team. And this was early 2000s. So the spread wasn't as big back then. It is certainly huge now. But watch what happens when Huntley breaks contain. Okay. Remember we were talking about Demarcus Robinson being able to find the open spaces? It's not random. So like when they do scramble drill, there's some teams, maybe not all teams, have landmarks. It doesn't mean, get exactly to the top of the numbers. He may get here, what would be the top of the numbers if there was a yard marker that said 45. But they use landmarks for these guys. Somebody get to the landmark because we know that that's where we want to throw the football. It just gives a kid, I'm not talking about professional athletes, it just gives a kid a place to look for when he's under duress, when he's being chased by one D tackle and maybe fronted up by a linebacker or a safety, even though that guy right there was covering someone in this play. When they're under duress, it gives them an option. It gives them a consistent option to throw the football, and likely is another guy who looks like to me he understands that. This is one of the things that I did not see with Greg Roman at all prior to 2021. So if Steve Young or you or me or anyone wanted to point out limitations of Greg Roman's scheme, this would be how specific it's got to be to garner my attention. Maybe it bores you, that level of attention, and that's fine. Ooh, Coach, you played in a double wing? Mark, he didn't run no routes. He ran a post in the double wing. Whoa. Coach, you mean double wing like foot-to-foot splits, or do you mean double wing with 2 slots and two split ends? Jay, I mean, at this point, I don't think that any team. It's very few teams, Jay, that you can put in a box like that and say they're West Coast or say they're whatever. You know what I mean? But if we're going to be under center and we're going to be running a lot of zone stuff and play action stuff, then we do become, kind of like this Shanahan style team. But I think you're going to see gap run blocking plays, and I think you're going to see zone run blocking plays. So I don't think it's that simple, Jay. But that's a great question. I think there'll be elements of multiple teams, multiple schemes incorporated if we're going to do things well. If we're just going to stay with the pistol option, that's the part that's limited. That's my point. But in any case, I said it once, I'll say it again. This piece here, to me, I see traits of air raid / spread teams in terms of where you go when the quarterback breaks contain. And other people might be able to explain it better than me, but I've just seen the drill 100 times whereby quarterback breaks contain and someone has to get to their landmark. There's multiple landmarks that people use. That's just one that I have seen people use. It's deeper than rap. Like that. Nice. Yeah, I'm not saying, Mark, I'm not saying that Ricard isn't useful. I'm certainly not. I don't. Uh, an old coach that I was around used to, and I did not like this experiment. He used to say, let's rank our players. And I hated this. I hated it. But I'm going to use this with Ricard. He would say, let's rank our players, and where does this guy stand? And he would often use that to make a point and say, I think this guy needs to be on the field more or less. I suspect with Ricard, he would say less. First of all, let me come back to that in a second, Mark. Likely he's going to break tackles. He just looks like a guy who's going to break tackles. Look how pissed off he is that he didn't break those tackles. To me, that looks like a guy who expects to. We got a gem. Like, I'm sure that Charlie Kohler is a good player, but I find it hard to believe that he is this talented. Likely looks like he could be a 40, 50 catch guy in his rookie year, even with us having Mark Andrews and Rashad Bateman. All right, so back to my point about Ricard. Forgive me if I'm rambling. One of the exercises that this guy used to tell us to do was, let's rank our players. And I don't know, where do you think Ricard would be ranked on our 53? What would be the ranking numerically for Ricard? I don't think it's anywhere near the top 30. I just top 25. Let me rephrase that. Maybe he's 26, 30, somewhere around there, but I even find that hard to believe. Aaron, I'm doing great, man. This is fun. This is what I love to do for you guys, and I love the feedback. It's tough for me to track the chat sometimes because I've got two screens here and I have to turn my head. So hopefully my voice isn't going out when I turn my head. So I'm doing great. I have Taurus. What's up, man? Appreciate you joining in. Wow, Ricard in the top 15 or 20. I just have a hard time. I would have a hard time putting him there. Maybe I need to, actually do this. A little bit of Polk here. Coach Siptatali and mine, one of our, both of our favorite guys. I actually watched a little bit of Coach's breakdown earlier this week, and he pointed out, just like I did last week, look, Huntley's pulling the grenade already, throwing the ball, and Polk hasn't even started his break yet. So there's a real trust there. And Polk is professional, man. You saw that at Mississippi State. Professional route runner, professional receiver of the football, and then not just making his body in position to catch the ball, but the actual professional hands to do so. To me, he's got elite hands. Out of all the traits that Polk has, I think the hands are the best. I just have a hard time with Ricard in the top 20, but somewhere around top 20, top 25, okay. But it would be hard for me to justify him playing over Isaiah Likely in a lot of situations. If we're in these sets, these personnel groupings, he's not going to be on the field. I think, as much as I'm not an 11 personnel guy, I'm not by default. I think that we might be more of an 11 personnel team this year, for real, or 12. than we are with 21. 21 is Ricard on the field. This is a beautiful ball, and again, Polk's hands and size too make this happen. I don't know the corner he's going against. I don't know if the dude is, even still on the Titans roster. I just know that this is a really well thrown football, and you don't throw this ball in a preseason game against the Tennessee Titans unless Mekhi Polk has caught this ball 24 times in practice already. I think he's doing work in practice. I really do. Don't get me wrong. Isaiah Likely's doing work. Mark Andrews, Rashad Bateman, Shamar Bridges. I think this guy's doing work too. He just doesn't say shit. It doesn't seem like. One of my favorite players, man. Of course, the Demarcus Robinson signing means he may not make the team initially. What's up, Brent? Thank you, man, for the $5 super chat. I appreciate that. Awesome. Hope things going good. I agree with that, Jay, that Ricard does everything he has to do. I got no qualms with that at all. I'm not an anti-Ricard guy, like I said. I'm just not one that I believe that unless we're going to use him different, teams key off of Ricard. We're very predictable when he's in the backfield. We're running behind Ricard. If we're going to have Ricard in the backfield, we need to run more counter schemes where Ricard's going opposite the flow of the play. Because I need to do a video on this and show you guys so you know that I'm not just like up here like Steve Young, just tossing bullshit out there and hoping that you guys think it's true. Like when Ricard is in the backfield, we are predictable in terms of where we're running the football. Now, maybe we're not predictable in terms of whether it is a run or pass play, but we are predictable in terms of where the run play is going. Aaron, I totally agree, man. Ricard. I'm sorry, I totally agree, Aaron, that the Robinson signing is good. It's a good one. That's not how it works, Jay. 21 personnel is the positional definition of the player before the formation lineup. It's how the defense treats us in terms of the personnel they match with. So I understand what you're saying. I think I do anyway, Jay. I think what you're saying is the formation we line up in could be different because Ricard can line up in tight end. That is true. But the defense brings out certain personnel on the field when we have Ricard on versus when we have Ricard off. Little snag concept by Polk. He could do this all day. This is what he did at Mississippi State. Make tough catches. Protect himself from big dudes hitting him. Maybe not get a whole bunch of yards after catch, but I'm not one of those people who only talks about yard after catch. There's plenty of times where these concepts eat people up and set up bigger plays. I love the snag concept. Don't get me wrong. At some point, we got to run the snag and go. When we see safeties trying to get involved in this stuff, in this case, they're playing off coverage. Definitely looks like 3. Here cover 3. But at some point, with some of the coverages we see, we got to get those guys vertical off that snag look. Okay, Taurus, I didn't know that. I didn't know you were a big Florida fan. Demarcus Robinson had a great career there, didn't he? Yeah, Lonnie, that's kind of my point. Is that I think Ricard's time is limited if we want to be the most effective version of ourselves. And if Ricard is going to be on the field, maybe he needs to be on the field and it's 22 personnel, but those 2 tight ends is Andrews and Likely. So then now what do you do as a defense? Because Andrews and Likely, I've gone on record as saying they're not really tight ends. I mean, they're not. Let's be real. They're tight ends. They're guys who can play there, but they're not tight ends from the standpoint of like a Nick Boyle. The only good blocking tight end we have on our roster is Nick Boyle. Let's just say it. That's just reality. In terms of run blocking at the point of attack, he's the only one. Another snag concept from Polk. This one's kind of flat. There's no angle to it because he's just trying to stay away from the linebacker. And again, he can do this all day. I love the shotgun because if we're in the pistol and Lamar does this, and there's no mesh, there's no play action, what's the point of having him in the pistol? You know what I mean? There's no point. You're just putting the running back further away from the line of scrimmage, further away from either being able to protect or slip out into the backfield. I'm just not a pistol guy, and I think that's the more limiting factor than Greg Roman, the person, being the guy back there. At least in terms of the scheme, Now, if you want to talk about, calling specific plays in certain situations, yeah, there has been some issues with that. Aaron, I'm not sure I remember that play, to be honest with you. Um, you're gonna have to give me a second to think about that one. It might be something I'll look up later today. All right, Aaron. I don't really remember that one. And the place that I'm getting the all 22 film from is terrible. Like the NFL.com site is awful. Let me come back to that, Aaron. This was one of those moments where I was like really rooting for a guy to make a play. I think it was pretty obvious that he was interfered with. I did talk about this in another video, so forgive me for repeating content, but like this was one of those things where I was like, okay, Polk, go ahead, go make a play and show that you're on the same trajectory as Bridges, and we just didn't make the play. We just didn't make the play. Could he make the play? Yeah, it's going to be tough to do with getting grabbed. The guy, you can't see it. Forgive the resolution, but the guy's grabbing him with his left hand. You can see the body spin, because he's grabbed him. The body's being torqued that way. One of those moments, and I thought it was a good ball by Brown. I think this was one of those throws that the coaches looked at and said, "Yeah, this is our number 3." I'm talking about Brown now. All right. I do have some Trace McSorley film that I actually released a video on him last night. So a lot of it's the same film. So if you guys want to see it, I can show it. I'm actually like one of the things I wanted to say is it's kind of related to what was said about Lamar, that we're not developing him. I guess that's what was said. I guess. What's funny is though is like we're developing the hell out of Huntley and even McSorley. Was McSorley looked at as someone who would go to a place like Arizona and be the backup quarterback? I just didn't have that perception of him. And Huntley was undrafted. It seems like we're doing a good job of developing our backup quarterbacks. So how are we not doing a good job of developing Lamar? That would be the question I would have for people who would say we're not developing Lamar or not improving him. JAD, I'm not sure. I don't know why he didn't play the first game. Not sure why he didn't play the first game. Lonnie, back to your point from earlier, you said Pat and Boyle are amazing blockers. You're not wrong. I mean, they're good blockers. They're not wrong about that. However, and again, this is it's more than surface level. We are very predictable about where we run the ball when Ricard is on the field. People just key on Ricard. Ricard is used as a lead blocker so much that teams can just what's called read him. That just means look at him and essentially follow him. That's a very simplistic way of me saying. I'm trying not to use football speak here. When Ricard is on the field, he's a guy that really makes us predictable. We're less predictable with Ricard off the field. Now, could our coaches do a better job of I am going to load up this McSorley film. So, if you guys have already seen it, my apologies. I did release it in a short video last night. Ricard just makes us more predictable, in my opinion. All right, so along the same lines as what I'm talking about for our offense, if you watch how they're aligned back here in this little. I think we've got 7 plays here, and McSorley's either going to be in the shotgun or under center. One of those two. There's no pistol. The pistol is, if you ask me, what is limiting with us. I think this ball's a little underthrown. I said it in the video last night. But McSorley looks good in these plays from week 1. He looks real good. This is a QB draw. So they're going to get out to these 2 linebackers and do a good job of blocking this up. You can do this, when you've got an athletic quarterback. Oh, Kevin, that's an interesting thought. Yeah, there's definitely improvement in Lamar. There was improvement in Lamar last year. I don't mind, not with you guys, Ravens fans, because you guys are are well schooled on understanding what's going on with the Ravens, but like national people that only pay attention to like Twitter takes, or they only pay attention to like ESPN. If I said this, they'd be like, "You're crazy. Lamar improved last year. His technique improved last year." And it didn't bear out in the stats in the end because we were so limited with injuries. Number one, and then number two, I think he was injured. But you look at the first 5 games, his technique improved greatly. This is a play that we run now, not exactly with this fake F counter, which is really cool, and then slipping him out in the flats. Watch this H back or tight end, if you will. Fake going to one side for the F counter and then run out into the flats. McSorley's, reading this guy right here to see what he's going to do, decides to throw it to the second part of the read. It's a cool play. Jay, I totally agree with you. That's not true at all. Those people aren't analysts, though. Like, I mean, they're not analysts. They didn't watch our team. Well, first of all, let's be honest. How can you accurately assess Lamar or even most of our offensive players from last year? Like, how do you do that? It would be so. My comparison, I used this like a couple of months ago. Remember the year when Golden State? It was after I think KD left. Correct me if I'm wrong. KD left, and Klay Thompson was hurt that next year. So they didn't have either one of those guys after they went to the finals and lost to Toronto, I believe. I may have some of the details messed up there, but I think they lost in the finals to Toronto. KD was hurt. Klay Thompson played some of that series and was hurt, I believe. And then the next season, Klay Thompson didn't play at all, and KD left. How did anyone accurately assess the Warriors off of that next season? It's the same thing. It's the same thing. Yeah, exactly, Jay. So they were all gone. The only guys they had was Curry and Draymond Green, right? So how did people assess the Warriors then? Why is it that Steph Curry and other people get evaluated differently? Oh, because they won championships before? Okay, I understand that. I get it. But people are saying Lamar regressed. No, he didn't. That's not true. That is absolutely not true. And that's where those analysts, those national analysts, I don't listen to them. I don't, because they don't make no damn sense. This is interesting to me. This is number 33. I forget his name for Cincinnati. He's been a safety before. I saw him lined up at corner in this game, this first preseason game. I probably only got about 5 minutes, guys. And I'm not sure that it's working out, him at corner. He's an athletic guy, don't get me wrong, and he can handle it, but I know he's a good safety. If you remember, I don't remember his name, forgive me. In our game against them last year in Week 7 at home, they would bring him in on third down and play him man on Mark Andrews. Look, he's totally lost track of the guy he was supposed to guard. I'm just not sure that he's a corner. And I think this is Dax Hill up here. Dax Hill is not beat, by the way. He's just the safety who's trying to cover up the mistake by number 33. Cincinnati didn't play a lot of starters on this game, obviously. Nor did we in the first game. Joshua Richter, totally agree. Great point about the Colts game and the Chiefs game. Josh, I can't remember how to say what his last name is. I was trying to remember his last name. I know it's a good ball by McSorley here, but I think he's been a safety most of his career, and it looked like they were playing him at corner a lot. I'm not sure why. This is one of them things that the Ravens need to do a little bit more of, screens. This is a McSorley film, by the way. We need to do a little bit more screens, for real. I saw one in the preseason game, and this is a great job by McSorley of letting the rush get to him. He's got to let this running back clear this D tackle, who's the only guy who has awareness of it. And then they block it up well. We can do this now. We're a little bit more athletic with our offensive line. Of course, I understand if people want to say, like, hey, Ben Cleveland doesn't make us more athletic. I agree with you there. But we have competition along the offensive line. I'm hoping to do an offensive line stream next Saturday. I don't know if people would be interested in that. It would generally be all end zone film from the preseason. I don't know if that would bore people because people's comments tend to focus on, you know, the offense, receivers, et cetera, et cetera. Great play by Dax Hill. If, in fact, this is actually Dax Hill, I believe it is, number 23. Shows you how versatile he is, covering this guy man-to-man. No, Josh, I'm you talking about number 23, Josh? Awuzi's 22. Awuzi's 22. Yeah, I can't wait to see us with Linderbaum back there. I know Linderbaum was apparently singing at a team meeting the other day. I don't know when he's going to be ready to play football. This is a poor throw from McSorley, but he really didn't have much choice. The receivers beat. You know, on the top side, he's got Hill in coverage, and then this corner is also underneath. It's really going to be very difficult for him to put this ball anywhere. You know, maybe out here by the bottom part of the B. But this corner is involved. It's going to be difficult. You know, he just didn't see. He didn't see this corner. Really, he's a slot defender. Right here, he's running a China in. I call it a China in. Some people call it a whip route. He ran a China in. Number 1 receiver is running there, and the number 3 receiver is running like a post corner or just a fade. The corner has got great recognition. I don't know who this is. Great recognition to fall off here away from this route because he sees that McSorley's throwing the football and get involved. They're a fantastic job all the way around. The Bengals defense, their DBs are extremely well coached across the board. I can't wait to see how we match up with them, obviously, in week 5. I know it's a long way away from that. All right, well, if you guys have any other ideas for stream stuff, because it seems like a consistent crew, consistent names that I see, I'd appreciate any ideas. Next Saturday, we'll have 2 films from the preseason of our offensive line. So I was planning on going back and getting only end zone film of our offensive line. Maybe do 12 or 15 run plays and then 12 or 15 pass plays. I feel like it might have a little bit less global interest to people, but the offensive line is where it's at. If we have a great O-line, we're going to be a really, really, really good football team. If we have just a good to very good offensive line, our ceiling is going to be a little lower. We need to be one of the top 5, top 7 offensive lines in the NFL again if we want to see the best version of our quarterback and all our position players. Yolanda, thank you. I appreciate that. Awesome. I didn't know you were still in here. You hadn't commented in a while. Really appreciate it. That would be a great idea too, Lonnie. Maybe, Lonnie, actually, that's an awesome suggestion. Maybe an offensive and defensive line stream. That's a great idea. Appreciate that, man. I plan on doing these in the regular season too. I've said that many times. So, if you have any suggestions, put them in the not this chat here, because this chat, like if I go back to this video later, look at it for whatever reason, I can't track the chat, like this, but I can look at the comments section. So when a video posts up, if you have ideas for a stream, put them in there. But Lonnie, that's an awesome idea. And Mark, yeah, that one was a good one. Mark, compare Oweh's spin on that to his spin against the Raiders on his first sack last year in week 1. Totally different. Right, totally different. Jay, I'm not sure about who will be the left guard. I mean, Phillips. See, I disagree with people who said Phillips played bad in week 1. I think he did not play great at left tackle. I would agree with that, but I think he played quite well at left guard. Phillips doesn't have the athleticism and explosiveness to be a tackle. That's obvious. I think that's clear. But I think he's got a chance at left guard. Cleveland looked really good, though, man. I thought Cleveland looked real good. There was a part of me that thought Cleveland looked so good at right guard that maybe Zeitler moves to left guard. We play Cleveland at right guard if that's his natural position, because I believe that's where he played at Georgia. I might be wrong. Will Hunter, appreciate the shout out. Yeah, I'm going to cut this stream in a couple minutes. I'm limited on time here. Travis Jones looking awesome. Yeah, Travis Jones had 2 plays where I thought he got taken over as a one technique on inside zone to him, but generally looked really good. Really, really great talent. Some film of Anthony Brown Jr. Okay, Aaron, I'll work on that this week. That's a great idea. Thank you. Jay, no doubt. If Stanley plays and he's healthy, we have a top 5 O line, profile, no doubt. Okay, so he did play right guard in college. I thought he did. Yolanda, I appreciate the $10 super chat also. I'm just going back over some of the comments real quick. Mark said Ben Cleveland is an explosive athlete. He isn't just flex. Yeah, I agree with that. I thought he played better. I don't know if you watched the film study I did of him in the offseason, but when Ben Cleveland got that 4-game cameo at the end of the year, I said something. I thought his run blocking wasn't as dominant as I would have expected, but I thought his pass blocking was better than I expected as well, which I thought was interesting. Yeah, Taurus, I mean, that's a good point. Stu Money, yeah, I definitely think Queen will improve. No doubt. I think he's pissed off. I think he's probably tired of hearing all the BS. Like, I also think that there's a lot of people who grab one play snippets of players, and they really don't even understand the position. Like, the inside linebacker position is one of the most difficult ones to play, if you ask me. And Patrick Queen, correct me if I'm wrong, is still 22 years old. 22. Maybe he's 23, but I think he's 22. That's unbelievable, for real. For him to be 22 years old and going into his 3rd NFL season and have the amount of, I mean, let's be honest, he made a lot of explosive plays as a rookie, a lot of splash plays, I guess. We would like to see the more consistent plays. I think he gave us that when Bynes showed up. That's why I have always said, like, that Bynes is a starter, no question. And I kind of laugh at people that suggest that he shouldn't be. Like, from the moment Bynes was inserted into the starting lineup, our whole defense played better, I thought. Queen, okay, so he is 23. Okay, so he's still very young, obviously. Yeah, all right. I appreciate you guys checking out the video, man. I am gonna work on that O-line stream for next Saturday morning. Yeah, Falele looked really good. I thought he looked surprisingly good, way better than some of the stuff I saw from Minnesota. Not that he looked bad there, but there was moments where, pass pro was quite rudimentary. He looks like I think our coaches are doing a really good job so far. It's about players and talent. Don't get me wrong, but it's also about coaching. But look, let's be honest. The Patriots won some Super Bowls some year, and yeah, I know they had Gronkowski and Edelman turned out to be a fantastic player, but there was some years where the Patriots won the Super Bowl where they were not the most talented team. I think we'd all have to agree on that. Coaching matters, and I think our coaches is doing a great job right now, especially with the O line and the receivers. Okay, Taurus, that doesn't surprise me. Inside linebacker is difficult to deal with. It's a difficult thing, man. To be expected to play the run and play the pass effectively, and then we play so many coverages. Look, there were some times last year where he got hung out to dry. Remember the touchdown pass to Boyd up in Cincinnati where we were in empty? That's just way too much space, horizontal space and vertical space for Queen to be expected to defend. He can't guard a guy like Boyd in all that space. That was terrible. Yeah, Patrick Queen got beat, and jackasses who don't know anything about football would put that play up on Twitter or whatever, and look how terrible Patrick Queen is. He should never be put in that situation in the first place. A real coach or a real player who's been in the game and seen the game, through a helmet view is going to understand, like, he should have never been put in that position. So some of those things that happen to young guys like Patrick Queen or whoever, they're 22. He was 22 at the time. I just feel like people aren't finished products at 22, probably not even 25. And so to judge them as such is it's kind of wrong-headed on our part. Absolutely, Mark. See, I don't think that like bust is the word. It's guys who, played in certain schemes in college and then are expected to do a whole lot more. The net of what they're expected to do opens up a lot wider in the pros. And so it's not surprising to me that you see efficiency decrease across the board when you're asked to do so many more things. In some cases, the game needs to be more simple. I have said this for years, and people don't like me saying it. College and NFL teams play too many coverages. They do. Torres, you said you knew who I was talking about as soon as I said Boyd. All right, guys. Well, you guys have given me some great video ideas, so I appreciate it, man. Thank you for checking in. If you don't follow me on Twitter, try to do so if you're on Twitter, because I am going to be sharing like some Twitter videos, just 2-minute long videos, along with the stuff I do on YouTube. It seems like on Twitter people share stuff easier for whatever reason, so I like to put a little bit of stuff out on Twitter, 1-minute, 2-minute videos, and let people share them and hopefully get exposed to my content and then navigate their way over to my YouTube channel. I'm approaching 4,000 subscribers, which is awesome. Appreciate you guys. If you haven't subscribed yet, go ahead and do so now. All right, guys, I'm out of time, man. I appreciate you guys. If you would, go comment on the video once I post it up here in a couple minutes. That helps the video get more exposure. Thank you guys for tuning in.